Leanna and Amelia slowly walk away. I reach out and gently shut the door, following after them. Also, just a good image, altogether. Well done, artist. We settle downstairs at a table while we wait. Leanna casts worried glances upstairs.
I feel for both Kara and Zach.
Yeah, Vera and Zach have some intense history. I guess they both ran in the same circle and was looked after by Damon. Amy nods.
Ultimately, Ver was unsatisfied with the group, and to complete his initiation into the Cloaked Brotherhood, he had his team killed.
Yes, thank you for confirming that exposition, Amelia. Wait, how'd you know that was his initiation? Amy fixes me with her big eyes.
Zach expressed that the Brotherhood's initiations require a hefty sacrifice. For Zach, it was to spill the blood of the innocents. It would stand to reason that the Brotherhood would have offered a similar mission to Ver.
Yeah, I actually kind of just assumed that. It didn't cross my mind that that wasn't something, I guess, that was explicitly stated.
That makes what happened even more horrific. How could he just turn on his team like that?
But it really sounded like that was the case, just with how Ver and Zach, explained it. Hopefully this was all worth it, though, to give Kara some closure.
Yeah. Having an idea of what happened isn't the same as reality confirming it.
The conversation falls to a close. There's really not much to say after what's happened. Finally, after what feels like an hour, Zach and Kara come downstairs from the room. We all shoot to a stand.
Hey, how are you feeling?
Kara hastily wipes her face.
It still hurts, but it's a little better now.
I'm surprised you came down if you're still feeling like that, to be honest. She gives us a small, weak smile.
Thank you guys for coming with me.
Leanna smiles back.
Of course.
A few other people from the inn send us curious glances. Some patrons squint at Zach.
We should get out of here.
A shiver runs down my spine. Yeah, I agree. All of the muttering and staring is starting to make me feel uneasy. Not only that, but this place is still technically dangerous. I'd really rather not have another encounter with the Cloaked Brotherhood. Not wasting any more time. Yeah, space it. We gather what we need and leave. When we are far enough from the city, we finally stop to make camp. The crescent moon hangs low in the clouds. Zach prepares dinner and we sit around a small fire. The Pongo huddles close to Kara. Aw, she absentmindedly pats his head and gives him a hug. It's silent for a while, with only the sound of flames crackling and the crickets chirping in the distance. Even though Zach's cooking is always delicious, I find myself unable to concentrate on the taste. Kara chews slowly, thoughtfully. A part of me wonders if I should say something and ask how she's doing, but maybe it'd be better to give her some space. Kara clears her throat.
Thanks for everything you've done for me. I know you all didn't have to go with me to find the Cloaked Brotherhood, and it means a lot to me that you did.
Of course. There's no way we'd let you go through that alone.
Leanna and Kara share an expression of silent gratitude.
I'm glad I finally know what happened to my dad.
She breathes out a big sigh.
It's a bit crazy, but my greatest worry wasn't just that he might be dead, but that maybe he wasn't and he never came back for me.
Kara. She smiles, and for the first time, it looks natural. A bit sad, but also relieved.
It's okay. I know that he would never have abandoned me. Our separation was by force.
Just one of those anxieties, I get it.
There's no changing the past. At least now I can move on to bigger and brighter things.
She turns to Zach and her expression softens. Aw.
What about you? Running into Veyer was unexpected, and it sounded like you had a lot of history.
Zach looks up. He hesitates, then lets out a low sigh.
He was like a brother to me. We both lost our families. Both were orphans. We were both taken in by Damon.
Damon was your mentor? Zach nods.
He was the leader of our band of mercenaries, and like a father to me. He taught me everything I know, pushed me to become the best I could be, and showed me how to survive.
He pauses as he stares into the fire.
Vera and I were the youngest. I was around 14 when I joined the group, and Vera had only been there a year longer. We bonded pretty quickly.
His voice trails off as he furrows his brow.
At least, I thought we did. I've been thinking about what he said, and I wonder if he's right. Maybe Damon did favor me.
Even if that's true, it doesn't mean he deserved to die for it.
No, of course not. Nothing can excuse what Vare did.
Leanna's voice is gentle.
What happened?
Zack pauses as he collects his thoughts.
We'd been hired to transport a load of weapons. It was supposed to be an easy gig, one we'd all done many times before. Vare was our scout, and Damon and I guarded the trunk as we took passage on the Crystal Rail. Biggs and Jess were stationed in other Crystal Rail cars to spot any suspicious passengers. Damon sent Vare out to make his round on the Crystal Rail, as he had done a few times already. This time, it took longer than usual and we were worried that he'd encounter some trouble. Damon had me search for Vare and give him back up if needed. I walked around the Crystal Rail, through the cars, asking the rest of our team if they saw him. No one did, and I couldn't find him. When I got back to Damon...
Zack pauses. Pain ripples across his face, his eyes haunted and bleak.
He was dead.
His voice is flat.
I didn't have time to look at the bodies. The men who killed him were still there, so I jumped out of the Crystal Rail before they could get me too.
His face curdles in disgust.
I assumed Vare died with them. I mourned for him.
His hands curl into fists. Kara reaches out and touches his arm. He flinches and then blinks at her. His eyes refocus and he turns away, taking in a deep breath.
They never came after you?
He shakes his head.
They probably assume I died jumping out of the Crystal Rail. After I recovered, I tried to seek out what had happened, but for years I couldn't find a damn thing.
He pauses.
I didn't know it was the Cloak Brotherhood, and that Vare could have done that, or would have joined them. I lost everything that day, for the second time in my life.
I try to imagine how it would feel to mourn for someone I cared about, only to find out years later that they were alive and had betrayed me. The thought makes my stomach turn. Leanna shifts in the quiet, but Kara speaks next, her voice low.
And that's when you became the Deathslinger, isn't it?
Zack lifts his head.
Yeah.
The reports from the Mage Guild, they said you would take on suicide missions?
Missions kept my mind from thinking. I was good at what I did, and I had nothing to lose.
Shadows flitter across Zack's face and the group quiets. Leanna looks down as Kara places a hand on Zack's arm. He looks at her and the shadows disappear from his eyes. As their eyes meet, Kara's cheeks begin to color and Zack cracks the hint of a smile.
But I don't need to be the Deathslinger anymore.
Kara blinks, then looks at Zack hopefully.
Oh?
He shrugs. He looks like he's struggling to get the words out. A slight blush dusts his cheeks and he coughs.
I found a reason to live.
Aww. Oh, stop it, you. Group hug, yeah. That's great, man. I'm happy you finally found what you were looking for. Zack looks up. He nods. I'm not gonna ruin that for him.
We should get some sleep. It's been a long day.
I nod. Yeah, I agree. Every limb and muscle suddenly feels sluggish, and I realize how much I've pushed myself today. The same exhaustion seems to ripple throughout the rest of the group. I unravel my bedroll and smack it a few times, puffing it out as best as I can. Kara is the first one asleep. Today's event must have really exhausted her. In her sleep, her face looks smooth and peaceful. I hope she's able to get a good night's rest. Zack's bedroll shifts a little closer to her. When he gets close, I hear a tiny squeak. The Pongo pokes his head out from Kara's bedroll and blinks at Zack. Through my haze of exhaustion, I see Amelia stretch out her hand. Her bracelets shimmer, and the embers of the fire snuff out. My eyes droop shut as I fall asleep. Yay! Happy peaceful sleeping time music! Cool. Yeah. I mean, aside from the load of exposition, that was a good scene. I mean, the whole chunk. And, like, I don't know necessarily how exactly they could have naturally and more smoothly given us a lot of that information along the way, but I think more of an effort should have been made to do so. I also wonder, like, why didn't Vare have a little picture, like, just in the bottom corner, you know? He doesn't need, like, a full avatar, obviously. But even the dude in the Illusions of the Mind had a picture. Was he really more significant than Vare? I mean, they're certainly not playing it up that way. A flock of birds shooting across the sky wakes me. I blink and then yawn, stretching my arms high over my head. It feels like I've gotten a decent amount of sleep. That's good.
Ha!
I frown. Was that Leanna just now? Her voice was really faint. Not to me. They could have made that faint. They could have made it sound faint. I hear a roar of wind. Another flock of birds shoot up into the sky from the distance. I look around and realize Leanna's nowhere in sight. The others are still sleeping soundly. I kick off my bedroll and scramble for my sword, rushing out to meet her in the field. By the time I get there, Leanna smiles, seemingly satisfied, and sheathes her sword. Hey! She jumps.
Oh!
She turns around.
Good morning.
She stiffens, blushing. Her eyes squeeze shut.
I mean, good morning.
Good morning to you, too. Good morning. Leanna shifts from side to side. Her whole body seems strained and tight. Why is she suddenly so awkward around me? Are you ready for practice?
Right. About that.
Yes, about that. What? She glances away as if she's suddenly fascinated with something on the ground.
I actually just finished.
I blink in surprise. Really? She nods, scratching the back of her neck.
Yep.
But we always spar together. Leanna's cheeks flush, but she holds her smile.
Yeah, but you just seemed like you could use the rest. I didn't want to wake you.
Oh. Okay. I nod, but Leanna's voice sounds a little too chipper. I can't help but feel like there's more to it. Is she avoiding me? My stomach squirms at the thought. Leanna shifts uncomfortably. The silence stretches on, making the air thick with tension. Things have been so crazy that we never had a chance to talk about the kiss. This morning is the first time things have started to feel more normal, and it's clear we have some unresolved feelings. I don't know, that seems just a little odd. Like, I know that we've had the tension of, like, you know, the Cloaked Brotherhood in the air since, you know, the kiss happened, but we've also, it was summarized, you know, just in, like, the passing text, that we still had, because it took some time to travel south to Bridgewick or whatever it was, right? And it said that we had our usual morning spars, that there was, you know, like the sword play and the casting and all that. So why is it just now that things are suddenly awkward? Is it really just because the Cloaked Brotherhood is no longer an issue? Were we really, like, fighting with so much on our minds before? That seems weird to me. It feels like this is just, like, they didn't want to interrupt the Cloaked Brotherhood, like, little arc, but they still wanted to get in this romantic I don't know. Things have been so crazy that they never had a chance to okay. Maybe that kiss was just on a whim. Maybe she doesn't want to pursue anything further. Feel that, man. I guess there's no point staying out here. We head back... Wait, why don't I could still train. We head back to camp and find the rest of the team to be awake.
Greetings.
Kind of awkward wording.
Did you enjoy your practice?
Yes, it was good. How did you sleep?
Quite sufficiently.
She turns to me.
A significant amount of time has passed since you last attempted to open a temporal rift. Since you've absorbed more energy, perhaps now would be a good time to attempt it again.
I think we should just, you know, assume I need more of the temples and go to the water one. What? You want to do that now? Amy blinks.
Yes, we have resolved our mission with the Cloaked Brotherhood, and we are refocused on our search for the temples. It would be an ideal time to try again.
I guess. I remember my last attempt and wince. Wasn't it a bit of a disaster last time? Amelia shakes her head.
The ability to open the rift is there. I believe if you focus, the cast may be more refined.
Alright. Leanna looks worried, but she doesn't say anything. I'm curious, but I decide not to ask questions. I focus on stilling my mind instead. I wonder if she's worried because I might actually pull it off. Because then she'll miss me, aw, you know. For once, I don't need Leanna or Amelia to guide me through what to do. I close my eyes, taking in slow, deep breaths. Am I not gonna warn Kara and Zack so they could scamper off? Gathering the energy within, I shoot it down my arm as I try to visualize the rift. I'm taken off guard by how fast the energy shoots down my arm this time. I open my eyes. I just do I'm taken aback. I feel like that's better. Wind roars and flares up all around us. Amy and Leanna are speaking, but I can't hear them over the wind pounding in my ears. My heart automatically leaps at how strong the magic is, but I quickly shove the anxiety back down. I can do this. I grip my... Also, the dash, this time it had spaces between it and the words, and before it didn't, so consistency. I grip my teeth. It's an effort to extend my hand back against the gale. Extend my hand against the gale. The storm whips about even stronger. The trees groan and sway, and then... nothing. Nothing happens except for this fierce, biting wind. I hold on a little longer to see if anything changes, but it doesn't. The weight of the magic feels like it's settling deep into my bones, making my arm as heavy as a stone. Exhaustion ripples through me and my arm slaps down. The storm ceases. Leanna breathes out and... Let me start that over, because that was a mess. Leanna breathes out a sigh and smiles.
Thank goodness.
She seems more relieved than necessary. Was she concerned about me casting or something else? I can't tell. I already called it.
This is extremely curious.
I jerk my head up. Amelia's face is a blank sheet. She taps her chin.
It seems you are still a complete failure.
I mean, technically. I mean, as far as, like, activating a temporal rift, yeah, I was a complete failure in that regard. Leanna's jaw drops.
Amelia!
As you were able to summon more energy than before, I have come to the conclusion that you will not be able to cast a rift until you've absorbed even more energy.
Wow, that's not repetitive. I nod, disappointment curling in my gut. I was hoping to get a step closer to home. I feel like I'm making no progress with these rifts at all.
However, your cast was exponentially more powerful than before. Your ability to manipulate energy is increasing at an unprecedented speed.
I'm sorry, say that word again. It's unprecedented. What did you say? It's unprecedented. Unprecedented. Alright. That's a good thing, that's a good thing, I think? Amelia nods. I just have to keep trying until I get... I'm still thinking about unprecedented. Sorry. Should we start heading to the water temple then?
Yep.
We jump and whirl around. Oh, okay, because Kara's... Look at that face she's making! Look at her face! Look at how sly that mofo is right now! Stop sneaking up on us! Kara stifles a laugh. She seems to be back to her usual self again. I'm glad, but I still wish she'd stop surprising me all the time.
Which way are we going?
We should begin journeying towards the coast.
She's still being a
As
sly
I am not
mofo.
positive on the temple's exact location, I do believe it will be near a large body of water.
The expression, though, it's funny. I like it.
Costa Coral is a coastal city which best matches the description of where the temple may be located.
Okay. Kara grins.
It sounds like we'll have to pass through Illumia to reach Costa Coral anyway. We should make a stop there.
Sounds good. Amelia's brows crinkle together.
Is there not another way we could travel? I have already mapped out a course which would circumvent the academy.
Oh, right, because she's not supposed to be out here. Kara raises a brow as she takes a look at Amy's makeshift map.
This would take us very out of the way. It'll add on at least another week or two.
Another
of travel.
week or two? Dang. Leanna places a hand on Amy's shoulder.
It'll be alright. This may be a good opportunity for you to confront your professors.
I mean, we wouldn't necessarily have to stop at the academy. Like, it's a city, right? We could just stay at the inn for a night or whatever and then leave. Amelia's frown deepens. She seems to be lost in thought. Leanna's smile softens.
It'll be okay. Really. Boy.
The Pongo bounces at Amy's feet and flashes her an encouraging grin. Amy still looks a bit worried, but after a moment, she nods.
Thank you. Perhaps their feelings towards my field study will be swayed if I show them all the information I have gathered on our journey hence far.
It's not what the line says. Kara ruffles Amelia's hair.
You would be crazy not to, Amy.
Amelia blushes. She clears her throat.
Thank you. Let us find Zack and be on our way.
After we find Zack, we clean up the campsite. We gather our supplies and start again on our journey. We walk across the rolling grassy hills until we find ourselves back onto the path towards Illumia. Kara and Zack lead the way. I notice Zack walking a little closer to Kara than usual, but he keeps his arms crossed. Each time she catches him staring, her smirk grows more and more evident. Are those two together now? And the music change. I mean, yeah. Like, pick up on cues. Thinking about Zack and Kara suddenly has me wondering about Leanna and me. What are we? Are we a couple? Or was Leanna just caught up in the moment? I suddenly remember that kiss again and my face goes hot. My gaze snaps to Leanna's hands dangling at her sides. They look so small and delicate. My heart rate picks up. Reaching out to grab someone's hand is way less nerve-wracking than leaning in for a kiss, right? Besides, she made the first move at the Wind Temple, so now it's my turn. Be confident, you fool. I mean, both of the options are take her hand, so yeah, be confident, man, yeah. A small smile tugs at my mouth. I pick up the pace so I'm suddenly walking beside her. Trying to be as nonchalant as possible, I turn my head away and silently slip my fingers between hers. I mean, that's confident, right? Leanna flinches. She glances at our clasped hands, and her cheeks turn as red as poppies. She turns back to the group, probably to make sure no one is watching. When it's clear no one is paying attention, she looks up at me with a soft smile. She gives my hand a slight squeeze. Oh, no, cute Leanna there. Her fingers are soft, and her hand feels surprisingly small, practically swallowed by my own ginormous hand.
Hey, Leanna, do you remember when
Ha! She looked back at the perfect moment! Kara turns around and stops. She raises her eyebrows.
Oh.
Leanna squeaks. Her face burns scarlet and she drops my hand. My ginormous hand! A slow smile slides across Kara's face.
Oh dear. I'm so sorry. Am I interrupting something?
Of course not.
Zach and Amy stop. They turn to see what all the commotion is about.
What's going on?
Kara pins us with a knowing stare. Her eyes shimmer with something playful and mischievous. Crap, she's definitely going to call us out.
Oh, nothing.
She spins around on her heel.
I didn't see anything.
Zach arches an eyebrow.
Really?
Well, actually, there was this really beautiful flower, and I thought it'd be very nice if someone picked it for me.
Never mind.
Kara links her arm through Zach. Through Zach! Ah! And he stops asking questions. She leads him ahead with with Amelia trailing behind. Now I'm doing it. Kara continues to flirt with Zach the entire way there while he pretends not to be interested. Leanna and I chat quietly on the way there to kill time, but Amelia barely says more than a few words. She's been unnaturally silent for most of the journey. The Pongo falls asleep inside my scarf while Kara leans into Zach. I can see the tops of Illumia's buildings peeking up from behind a hill. As we start to get closer, the bustling of the city becomes louder and louder. Cue outro, go!